Best defensive back fits from the 2024 NFL draft class, Quinyon Mitchell Cooper DeJean to the Philadelphia Eagles is a smash for me. I'm going to explain why and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. And you know I got to kick this intro to my guy, Mr. LSU himself, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on X at TheTalentCode. Keep talking to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ with those LSU Tigers, and what, man, the other side to this dynamic duo that we like to call the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, where we have the best NFL draft content. We talk football, we talk draft prospects, we talk draft strategies. This is the best NFL draft content out there. I want to say shout out to our everydayers, the ones who tap in with us each and every single day. Thank you, man. And if you're new to the show, man, go ahead, hit the subscribe button for the best NFL draft content out there. DP, we're talking the defensive side of the football, right? We're going best defensive back fits. Then we're going to talk about the best edge rush fits, right? Those teams who needed edge rushers, who got the best fits. And then we're going to finish this thing off with some sleeper defensive fits. So, man, this is going to be a really good show. If you love defensive football, if your team needed to get better defensively, I would say stay tuned into this show. But DP, before we get started, man, why don't you hit them with our title sponsor?
Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Keith, as I said in the opening, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean both go like, I think it was two NFC teams that went like back. They were like Drake. They went back to back in terms of defensive backs, right? The Detroit Lions did it with Terrion and Rakestraw. And then the Eagles did it, getting Quinyon Mitchell round one, and at the top of the round, top of round two, or where they were in the second round, getting Cooper DeJean. And that pairing is that's my number one best fit, Keith. I love that fit, mainly because you bring Vic Fangio over from Miami, right? He comes to Philly to be a defensive coordinator. And I did a piece over the Draft Network. Guys, go check it out. You know, if you're an Eagles fan, I kind of went through the numbers in terms of what those guys did in coverage, Quinyon and Cooper DeJean, in zone coverage, but also paired it with the numbers from how much zone Vic Fangio ran in Miami in 2023. And I believe it was around like 70% of his defensive coverage snaps were out of zone. And you're talking about putting guys in the right position. Quinyon play a bunch of cover four at Toledo, right? So he's accustomed to playing off coverage. He's accustomed to playing zone. Well, Cooper DeJean's skill set best fits zone rather than a heavy man-to-man situation. Now, he could listen, that's why I said DB. I don't know where they're going to play Cooper DeJean. He might play outside corner. He may just be a defensive back on their roster for all we know right now. But I think putting those two guys with Vic Fangio, I think that's an absolute hit, man, because they fit what he wants to call.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think it's a good fit. And I think about the fact that they went two defensive backs, DP, and I think about my mock draft right before the draft, and I did a 2-round mock, and I gave the Philadelphia Eagles two defensive backs, and you get called the idiot, and you don't know what you're talking about, and this is the waste, and it's just crazy how things play out and play forward. But
wild times, right?
Right. It's crazy, man. But I think it's a good situation. And I think what I can say is that it's necessary, right? It was necessary for them to go with two defensive backs. And I think they went with guys with high upside. And we disagree on the rankings of the corners, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that is splitting so many hairs that it's either one of them could, like either one of those top 5 to 6 corners could be the number one corner in this class, and I wouldn't be surprised, right? And that's just how I felt about it. So Cooper DeJean was in that mix of being, hey, one of these, high-level athletes that's very productive, and then Quinyon also. So if you walked out of there's a realistic shot that the Philadelphia Eagles may have drafted the two best corners in this entire draft, right? Like that's just a possibility, just the way that this draft and this draft class, as far as the cornerback class, really shook out. It was really splitting hairs, and it can go either which way. But you talk about the scheme fit, and I agree with you that I really like the scheme fit, and those guys being able to come in and play early. And we know what the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They need defensive back help, and they did it with Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown played a lot of snaps. Reed Blankenship played a lot of snaps early on in his career, so they're gonna throw those young guys out there and let them compete. And I said,
Elias Ricks and then Keely Ringo.
Yeah, all of those guys played. They played significant. Yep. So they had a position of need, and somewhere they needed help, and they went and addressed it. So DB, I'm gonna go with my guys. And the West Coast did a really good job with drafting DP. The Los Angeles Rams, the Los Angeles Chargers, like it's just different, right? And I'm gonna stop with the Arizona Cardinals when you talk about best defensive back fits. In the second round, they grabbed up Max Melton, somebody I was extremely high on, really liked that situation. Mm-hmm. Then in the third round, they went and got a Senior Bowl standout, Elijah Jones, cornerback from Boston College. And then in the fourth round, they grabbed Dadrian Taylor Demerson, the safety from Texas Tech. That trio right there, I think that has the opportunity and the potential to change around this entire thought process of the Arizona Cardinals defense. Like if 2 years the Arizona Cardinals defense is really good, we're going to point to this draft, and we're going to point to those three players coming in and making an impact. And that's coming off of grabbing a couple guys that we liked last year with Keitrell Clark and Garrett Williams, right? And they grabbed those guys later, I think like in the fifth round or something like that. So I like it because they have a bunch of versatile pieces. I think they can play zone. They can play man. They can play man across the board. When you talk about all those quick-footed guys, and they all can eat. And then this is the other part too, is that you talk about build your your wide receiver core like a basketball team, right? But I think on the defensive side of the football, you kind of want the opposite, right? You want guys that can just travel with any wide receiver, because you don't want to become predictable, and offensive coordinators know what matchups they can dictate. These are guys, DP, that can literally just run with anybody. Like, so that the guy they locked on goes in motion, we don't have to bump this down and do different things and pass it off. It's just like, go play man. And as a defensive coordinator, that's what you want to do. You're like, go play man. I don't have to worry. Just guard your man, and I think they may have the opportunity to do that at a high level.
No, I love that, Keith, and then also talk about learning from a guy like Dadrian, bringing him from Texas Tech, who played safety, but he played nickel, he played close to the box, he played single high, split high safeties. Learning from the safeties they had in Buda Baker, right? A guy who's seen it all, who's done it all. Like, and then also this could be a situation where then Jonathan Gannon could start using Buda Baker, kind of similar to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Keith, where you put Dadrian at the top, him and I'll forget the other safety's name because he's pretty solid as well.
Jalen Thompson, I believe. Jalen Thompson.
Yeah, Jalen Thompson. So you get a situation where, let's say you got Max Melton and maybe Elijah Jones as outside corners and nickel, and then you got Buda Baker in the nickel spot in the slot, right? Kind of playing that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson role, blitzing, run defense, heavy hitter, even though he's not the biggest guy, but strong tackler, but also ball skills, instincts. You're talking about helping guys get lined up. Like this is I love that call out for the Arizona Cardinals, Keith. But I'm gonna go to another great fit for me, man. And I think he was your number one corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry, going to your neck of the woods, Keith. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Your boy, the guy that you loved in this class, is right there in your backyard, going to the Saints. And I know there's a lot of talk about. I think there was some talk about maybe getting rid of Marshawn Lattimore, right? For me personally, I don't want to do that. Like, if you can keep Lattimore, have Kool-Aid, have Paulson the Debo, I forget the kid out of Taylor.
Alante Taylor from Tennessee.
Because he plays, from Tennessee. Doesn't he play a little bit of corner and safety a little bit?
He played all over. He played corner, nickel, safety. Like he's been kind of brought along under like Tyrann Mathieu, and they've been working with him and doing different things. He does a lot there too. Yeah, I forget TM is over there, man. So the Honey Badger. So I just love that fit because at the end of the day, you still got to deal with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and now Jalen McMillan and Trey Palmer in Tampa Bay. You have to deal with Kyle Pitts, Drake London,
Rondale Moore, Darnell Mooney in Atlanta. And you know that, okay, the Panthers said, we got Deontay Johnson, we got Xavier Legette, we got Adam Thielen, we got Jonathan Mingo. Now you add another defensive back and another corner that can play physical press man coverage, take away, not just take away space, but throw off the timing. And we saw what Bryce Young was like when the timing was interrupted last year. He's such a great rhythm thrower. You got to disrupt timing, or he's gonna dot you up, man. So I love that fit for Kool-Aid to the New Orleans Saints, man. I think that's a great fit.
Yep, I agree 100%. It should play out well, the tandem of him and Marshawn Lattimore. Right now, I wouldn't trade Marshawn. Let him at least run with Kool-Aid 1 year, right? So that way he can be able to show him the ropes and things like that. But DP, let's keep this thing going, man. Where we going to? We're going to the trenches. We're going to talk about the best edge rusher fits. Yes, with prospects, went to really good situations that we like a whole lot and has the upside to be explosive, potential double-digit sack type situation. So coming up next, man, we're going to talk about the best edge rusher fits.
What is America's #1 sports book? FanDuel. Guys, it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL. And FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. I'm going to repeat that for you. Right now, new customers get $150 back in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's right. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and so much more. Guys, this is a deal that you just don't want to miss. With the NBA and NHL in their postseason and in their playoffs, and every single game counts, you don't want to miss this. So all you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every playoff shot count. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Best edge rusher fits from the 2024 NFL draft class. Keith, there's some really intriguing fits here, by the way, like from this edge rush group that we have. But looking at what we're kicking off with, I gotta go to let me go to Minnesota. Let's start there. Trading up from 23 to 17 to select Dallas Turner. You have one of the best defensive minds in Brian Flores as your defensive coordinator, right? And getting Dallas Turner, that, I think the comps for Dallas Turner, people are throwing about Brian Burns. I say he kind of reminds me a little bit of Brian Burns or a slimmer Danielle Hunter, who they just lost in free agency to the Houston Texans. And with his speed, his explosiveness, his bend around the edge, he's got the arm length. Now you got a coach that is going to be able to help get him further along, right? I expect to see Brian Flores try to work Dallas Turner one-on-one, like get him on the island against these tackles, where now you have to guard both inside track, outside track, and allow this kid to just naturally develop that pass rush plan. He showcased his solid speed, the power, and everything, and he was one of the big three at the edge rush position in this class, Keith. I just love that fit with him, and I think also you think about a team that we don't know how their offense is going to look with J.J. McCarthy, but let's say they had the lead, right? Able to run the ball, they get the lead in the fourth quarter, and the other team has to throw the ball, right? Jordan Love has to throw the ball. You know what I mean? I'm going to say Justin Fields. Jesus. Caleb Williams has to throw the ball. I got to get used to that. No more Fields in Chicago, right? Jared Goff has to throw the ball. You got a guy that you can scheme up and say, pin your ears back, big fella, and go get it. I really like what Dallas Turner, that combination of Dallas Turner and Brian Flores and what that can mean in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's a good spot. You just overall, right? Like just being able to develop him, being able to, just kind of figure it out overall. And I think that's a really good spot. DP, I'm gonna go with, we're talking about best edge rushers fits. It's weird, right? Because you almost have to stay at the top, because I think even looking at this, right, when you look at the edge rushers drafted and when the draft, you realize that this class has not been the classes of past, right? Where you're able to grab some highly talented guys in the 4th, 5th round. But DP, I'm going back to the West Coast. I'm staying on the West Coast. I I gotta go with who drafted well, right? I didn't choose this; they chose this. I'm gonna go with the combination. I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Rams and them picking up one Jared Verse in the first round, right? To pair him opposite of a young Byron Young, explosive guy. We talked about him. He was one of our favorite edge rushers. I might have had him in my third or fourth edge rusher last year. I had a high second round grade on him, and he didn't go, I think, until like the fourth round or something like that. But highly talented guy, proved and showed up well his first go around as a rookie. You put him, and then you put Jared Verse on the opposite side. I think you get that complementary piece, and we always talk about the complementary parts, right? Remember a couple, well, not even a couple, time flies, man. We're talking about 7-8 years ago when you had DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller, and like one was, DeMarcus was the big body, heavy-handed, collapse the pocket type, and then Von Miller was the quick, explosive, right? He wasn't speed, the power. It was a lot of elusiveness. It was the dip and rip. It was, all these different things that he was going to kind of beat you with, in spin moves and cross chops, just different things like that. He had a different bag than what DeMarcus Ware had, but they were very complementary of each other. I can see this potentially being something like that, right? Where both guys had the potential to go get you double-digit sacks. They're just going to win in different ways, which it makes it fun because now you can pick your matchups, right? And both guys, they have the opportunity to rush from both ends of the line of scrimmage. One is not solely a left outside linebacker, and one is not solely a right outside linebacker. So I like that. And then their fifth round pick, DP, they went with Washington State defensive end, and a lot of people I don't think talked about him much because when we tried to get a chance to watch it, but he got injured in the Senior Bowl. But from the film I watched, I like what I've seen from a developmental perspective, and they got him in the fifth round, which I think is very appropriate. Washington State edge rusher Brennan Jackson for the Los Angeles Rams, another heavy-handed, collapse the pocket type of guy. He's just a guy that I think you just have to get him a pass rush plan. Like, look, man, stop running straight into the offensive tackle, attack the edges, develop some different things, but he can potentially be a 6 sack a season type of football player, right? And you talking about just the firepower you just added along that defensive front. I think it's really good what the Los Angeles Rams did.
No, I love that call, especially with Brennan, because like you said, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind because he didn't play at the Senior Bowl, and when we saw him, like he's a big kid, long arms, like, you know what I'm saying? He has the build. And I remember when I watched him, I wrote down bull in the china shop. He's just out there trying to wreck shop. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't, like you said, get him a pass rush plan, and he could be a 5 to 7 sack guy, especially, and probably for this team, probably a rotational role. He could kind of be that guy coming off the bench on those third downs. He might even have some value rushing on the interior with his size and his frame. Either him or Verse can kind of move around like that. So I like that a lot, Keith, when it comes down to what they were able to do. I want to go to Dallas real quick. Getting Marshawn Kneeland, and I know a lot of Cowboys fans were like, man, what is this pick? Like, what are we doing, right? But it's
I felt the same way.
Getting him in the second round, I feel like this is a situation where, again, I
really don't want to cut you off. I like Marshawn Kneeland. I like Marshawn Kneeland. We know the positional needs, and that's why.
No, 100%. Like they, Jerry going Jerry. You know what I mean? That's just what it's going to be. But from the player standpoint, I think this is a guy that could play standard edge. And I think he can also, because of his ability, you think about third downs, that forces, you could put DeMarcus Lawrence kind of in that 3-tech position, maybe some 4-eye. You have him on the outside rushing off the edge in terms of Marshawn Kneeland. You got Micah Parsons on the opposite edge. Now you're just hoping that Mozzie Smith, can really take that next step forward as a vertical disruptor, and you can have yourself a pretty robust pass rush package on third downs to get after. Our guy Ryan Follow over the Draft Network was tweeting out. I think after the Jerson Newton pick, Wale, I didn't expect this to happen. Wale quote tweeting was like, talking about going after the quarterbacks in that division, and he called Jalen Hurts Shamar Moore. That was the craziest thing I saw all draft weekend. I was like, wow, like this man really called Jalen Hurts Shamar Moore. Then I looked at Jalen Hurts. I'm like, okay, this kind of spot on, low key.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's kind of accurate.
It's kind of accurate, you know what I mean? So being able to get after these guys, whether it's Jalen, Dak, now you got Jaden in Washington. Not Dak, I'm sorry, but Jalen, Danny Dimes. I don't want to call him Danny Dimes. He got to start being accurate before I start calling him Danny Dimes. Daniel Jones And then Jaden Daniels, I think, what the Dallas Cowboys did, that was a pretty solid and almost slept on move. It depends on how Mike Zimmer, I keep thinking about Dan Quinn, Mike Zimmer kind of builds out this pass rush package with these kind of litany of defensive linemen he got now.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, DP. I think it's a good situation. Like I think it's gonna play out well. I was a little, and it was more so the positional needs thing, right? Like we know you need a running back, you need offensive lineman, do you need another wide receiver, right? It was some of those things that that kind of threw me for a loop, right? And some of the positions they still need, but I do like Marshawn Neal and what he could potentially bring to this team. So DP, let's keep this thing going, man. We're gonna wrap this defensive episode up with what? Sleeper defensive fits, right? Prospects that nobody talking about, been drafted to really good situations that has the opportunity to be an explosive opportunity. So coming up next, we're talking about sleeper defensive fits.
All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every single day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent freezes. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now. Free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Guys, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayers. And you know what time it is? It's time to wake up on some of these defensive prospect fits from the 2024 NFL Draft class. Keith, I'm going to go all the way to the 5th round. And that's linebacker. He's going to where his father played, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. to the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And what have me and you talked about this, and we kept bringing up the same name, Nakobe Dean, right? In terms of what did Jeremiah Trotter have to battle in terms of pre-draft notions and mental models that people were going to place? It was a Nakobe Dean thing. Now, crazy enough, that's his teammate, Keith. Like Nakobe Dean is his teammate. And I think with Jalen Carter at that kind of 2-eye 3 tech, with Jordan Davis at that 0-1 tech, that's a defensive line, interior defensive line duo that can keep both of those guys clean, Keith. To where now you just let their natural athleticism. They're not explosive athletes. They're more short area quick athletes. So it's like being able to gear up from 5 to 7 yards, trigger downhill. Both can drop off into this soft spots and zones. Like Jeremiah Trotter has a couple interceptions in his career at Clemson, where the instincts, the coverage ability, and the fluidness in terms of flipping his hips, turning, driving on the ball, and making the play. I think he had a pick six. Was it against Florida State? I think he might have picked off Jordan Travis and took it back for 6. I know he had one this past season, but I just think this is a sleeper situation because Philly has needed linebacker help for some time now. They refuse to go in round 1 or round 2. That's fine. But I think if they can keep Nakobe and Jeremiah Trotter, if they're on the field at the same time, you keep those boys clean, they'll be able to get in the backfield for you and blitz the A gap, fill the run lanes, but also make some plays in the passing game. I think this is a very, very slept on situation.
Yeah, and I hope it turns out well, right? Because both of those guys are highly talented. Both of those guys are instinctual. Like you said, it's just been the same issue. It's been size, minor injuries, right? Like they both literally have the same type of profile. And I'll be interested to see. I think what's going to be important for Jeremiah, because I think Nakobe can play more of the weak side linebacker, the wheel, the space guy. Jeremiah is more of the inside guy, but he's going to have to get heavier, right? He's going to have to get to that 240. He's gonna have to find a way to put 10 to 12 more pounds on, just to be able to, kind of man the front. But instinctually, I like both of those guys. Both of those guys can make plays, they fly around, they know what to do, high level football IQ players. So I like both of those guys. DP, I'm gonna go with my sleeper defensive fits, right? First one, my guy, and I guess is it a sleeper? But I mean, he fell, big name, right? I'm gonna go with Peyton Wilson to the Pittsburgh Steelers. DP. I had almost a first round grade on this guy. I might have. Did I give him I might have gave him a first round grade at the very end. Yeah, I think I just went all in. DP. I was, I was in one of those modes, baby. You know what I'm saying? I was in one of those modes, man. And so I went first round grade on Peyton Wilson. Like him a whole lot. I think he can be an impact player, right? He fell in the draft because people said that he didn't have an ACL, right? He was missing an ACL. And you heard me say it. I'm going to say it again. If he did all that without an ACL, go get the man an ACL, DP. Get him an ACL, and we got us a Hall of Famer right here. I really like that's all we missing, DP, is an ACL. We'll go get him an ACL, man. All this sports medicine, just go get my guy an ACL, and we're A-OK. But I really like him, like I said, as a prospect. And I think when you pair him up with Patrick Queen, you could have a dangerous combination. Those guys fly around, they hit, they're physical, they're instinctual. The Pittsburgh Steelers could be working with something serious if Peyton Wilson, the health stuff, turns to be okay, and you pair that with a Patrick Queen. I like that a lot. Then the last one that I have, DP, going back to the West Coast, the Los Angeles Rams. I'm gonna make sure. Yeah, the Los Angeles Rams drafted Justin Eboigbe, interior defensive line for Alabama. I think they got him in the 4th round. I had a second round.
Chargers drafted him.
Chargers, I'm sorry. This the West Coast is the West Coast. The Los Angeles Chargers drafted Justin Eboigbe, and we know how much that they needed interior defensive line help. We talked about it time and time and time again, probably the last 4 years, right? We talked about this. This guy can help you against the run. If he can't do anything, he can help stop the run. Like, you're talking about one of those just big country strong, heavy-handed, collapsing pockets, right? Holding the line of scrimmage. So I really like that situation too. So that's my two guys. You're talking about like sleeper guys, 3rd round and back, that I had fairly high grades on that fell some in the draft due to whatever reason. And we'll just let it see how it plays out.
No, I like both of those call-outs. I'm just still over here just tripping the fact that you said go to WebMD and ship Peyton Wilson the ACL.
Give him a guy an ACL, DP. Just get him an ACL, man.
My guy said call up Jeff Bezos at Amazon and get it on priority shipping to Pittsburgh. I can't. But I'm with you. I think Peyton Wilson. I literally forgot Patrick Queen was their free agent signing. Like, that's a Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, TJ Watt, Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward.
My
Alex
guy
Smith.
Yeah, I'm about to say my guy on the other side who's just as talented.
Nick Herbig that they drafted out of Wisconsin last year. Like, that front 7 is loaded, man. Like, Mike Tomlin, man, just does it again.
Hats off, and then was able to address the quarterback situation too, getting Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Somebody got to be good, right? It's one of those situations where somebody got to be good, and we'll figure that thing out.
To hit.
Right. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, where we are the #1 source for everything NFL draft content, everything football, man. We talk it all. Hey, listen, the draft is over, man, but the show doesn't stop. The party don't stop over here. So make sure y'all stay tapped in with us, man. Make sure if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like and comment. Let us know who y'all think of y'all sleeper defensive prospects. And listen, I'm Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my co-host, my guy, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to always say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. On Monday, we got our, because I did this, the way too early 2025 mock draft Monday. We're going to hit you over the head with it on Monday. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.